Book of Heaven, Volume 17, 2nd to the 11th October 1924. Page 32 to 39. October 2, 1924. Effects of the adoration of the power of the Father, of the wisdom of the Son, and of the love of the Holy Spirit, done with the divine will. I felt all embittered because of the privation of my sweet Jesus. Oh, how much harder and more bitter my exile becomes, without the one who forms my life. And I prayed him to have compassion for me, and not to leave me at the mercy of myself. Now, while I was saying this, my beloved Jesus made himself seen as he was squeezing my heart tightly with his hands, and then binding me all with a little rope of light, but so tightly as to prevent me from making the slightest movement. Then he laid himself within me, and we suffered together. In the meantime, I felt I was being transported outside of myself, toward the vault of the heavens, and I seemed to meet the celestial Father and the Holy Spirit. And Jesus, who was with me, placed himself between them, and placed me on the lap of the Father, who seemed to be waiting for me with so much love that he pressed me to his womb, and identifying me with his will, communicated his power to me. So did the other two divine persons, with wisdom and with love. But while they communicated themselves to me, one by one, then, they all became one, and I felt I was being infused with, altogether, the will of the power of the Father, the will of the wisdom of the Son, and the will of the love of the Holy Spirit. But who can say all that I felt as being infused in my soul? And my adorable Jesus said to me, "Daughter of our eternal will, prostrate yourself before our supreme majesty and offer your adorations, your homages, your praises, in the name of all, with the power of our will, with the wisdom and with the will of our supreme love. In this way we will feel in you the power of our will adoring us, the wisdom of our will glorifying us, the love of our will loving us and praising us. And since the power, the wisdom and the love of the three divine persons are in communication with the intellect, the memory and the will of all creatures, we will feel your adorations, homages and praises flow within all the intelligences of creatures, which, rising between heaven and earth, will make us hear the echo of our own power, wisdom and love, adoring us, praising us and loving us. Greater adorations, more noble homages, love and praises more divine, she cannot give us. No other act can equal these acts, or give us as much glory and as much love, because we see the power, the wisdom and the reciprocal love of the three divine persons flow within the act of the creature. We find our own acts in the act of the creature. How not to enjoy them and not to give them supremacy over all other acts? So I prostrated myself before the Supreme Majesty, adoring it, praising it and loving it in the name of all, with the power of their will, wisdom and love which I felt within me. But who can say the effects of this? I have no words to express them, so I move forward. Then, afterwards, I received Holy Communion, and I was fusing myself in the will of my highest good Jesus in order to find in it all of creation, so that no one might miss the roll call, and together with me, all may prostrate themselves at the feet of my Jesus in the sacrament, to adore him, to love him, to bless him, etc., etc. But while I was doing this, I felt somehow distracted in trying to find all created things in his divine will, so that, one and with all, might be the love, the praises, the adorations to my Jesus. And Jesus, in seeing me as though entangled, gathered all of creation onto his lap and said to me, "My daughter, I placed all of creation on my lap, that it may be easier for you to find and call everyone together with you, so that not one thing which came from me may not give me, through you, the return of love and adoration which befits me, as things which belong to me. I would not be fully content in you if any of them were missing. In my will I want to find everything in you." Then it became easier for me to find and call all of creation together with me, so that all might praise and love my highest good Jesus. But, oh marvel, each created thing contained a distinct reflection and a special love of Jesus, and Jesus received the return of his reflections and of his own love. Oh, how content was Jesus! But as I was doing this, I found myself inside myself. October 6, 1924. How the divine will is in the creature like heartbeat in the center of the soul. I was fusing myself in the holy divine will, and my sweet Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, "My daughter, how beautiful it is to see a soul fusing herself in my will." As she fuses herself in it, the created heartbeat takes its place and life in the uncreated heartbeat, and forms a single one, running and beating together with the uncreated heartbeat. This is the greatest happiness of the human heart, to palpitate in the eternal heartbeat of its creator. My will makes it fly, and the human heartbeat flings itself into the center of its creator. Then I said to him, "Tell me, my love, how many times does your will go around through all creatures?" And Jesus, "My daughter, in each heartbeat of creature my will forms its complete round through all of creation. And just as the heartbeat in the creature is continuous, and if the heartbeat ceases, life ceases, in order to give divine life to all creatures, my will, more than heartbeat, goes around and forms the heartbeat of my will in every heart. See, then, how my will is in every creature, as primary heartbeat, because her own is secondary, and if I feel any heartbeat of creature, it is by virtue of the heartbeat of my will. Even more, my will forms in her two heartbeats, one for the human heart, as life of the body, and one for the soul, as heartbeat and life of the soul. But do you want to know what this heartbeat of my will does in the creature? If she thinks, my will runs and circulates like blood in the veins of the soul, and gives her the divine thought, that she may put aside the human thought and give the place to the word of my will. If she works, if she walks, if she loves, my wills wants the place of her work, of her step, of her love. The love and the jealousy of my will in the creature is so great that, while it palpitates, if the creature wants to think, it becomes thought, if she wants to look, it becomes eye, if she wants to speak, it becomes word, if she wants to work, it becomes work, if she wants to walk, it becomes foot, if she wants to love, it becomes fire. In sum, it runs and wanders through every act of the creature in order to take its primary place, which is due to it. But to our greatest sorrow, the creature denies it this place of honor, and gives place to her human will, and my will is forced to remain in the creature as if it had no thought, no eye, no word, no hands, no feet, unable to carry out the life of my will in the center of the soul of the creature. What sorrow! What highest ingratitude! But do you want to know who gives me free field and lets my will operate as heartbeat of life within her soul? One who lives in my will. Oh, how well does my will carry out its life, becoming thought of her thought, eye of her eye, word of her mouth, heartbeat of her heart, and so with all the rest. Oh, how quickly we understand each other with one who is living in my will, and my will obtains the intent of forming its life in the soul of the creature. And not only in the creature with reason does my will hold its primary place, being like heartbeat which, giving circulation to the life of the soul, runs to give life to all the acts of the creature, but in all created things my will holds its primary place and circulates as heartbeat of life, from the tiniest created thing, up to the greatest one, and none of them can move from the power and immensity of my will. It becomes life of the blue heavens, maintaining their celestial color ever new and vivid, nor can it fade, change or turn pale, because my will wanted it to be so, and once it has been established, my will does not change. My will is the life of the light, and of the heat of the sun, and with its heartbeat of life it preserves its light and heat ever equal and alive, keeping it immobile in my will, unable to move, to grow or to decrease in the good it must do to all the earth. My will is life of the sea, and forms the murmuring of its waters, the darting of the fish, the roaring waves. Oh, how my will shows off the power it contains within itself, and it carries out its life with such great majesty and absolute dominion in the created things, that neither can the sea do without murmuring, nor can the fish do without darting. Even more, I could say that it is my will to murmur in the sea, it is my will to dart in the fish, it is my will to form the waves, and with its roaring, it makes all hear that its life is their present, which can do anything it likes the best. My will is heartbeat of life in the bird that warbles, in the cheeping of the chick, in the lamb that bleats, in the turtle dove that moans, in the plants that vegetate, in the air that everyone breathes. In sum, in everything, my will has its life, and with its power, it forms the act it wants. So, it maintains harmony in all created things and forms in them the different effects, colors, offices which each of them contains. But do you know why? To make myself known to the creature, to go to her, to court her, to love her, with as many different acts of my will for as many things as I created for her. My love was not satisfied with placing in the depth of her soul my will as heartbeat of life, but wanted to place my will in all created things, so that, also on the outside, my will might never leave her, and so that the creature with reason might be preserved and grow in the sanctity of my own will, and all created things might be an incitement, an example, a voice and a continuous call to her, to make her always run in the fulfillment of my will, the only purpose for which she was created. But the creature becomes deaf to the so many voices of creation, blind to the sight of so many examples, and if she opens her eyes, she fixes them on her own will. What sorrow! Therefore, I recommend that you never go out of my will, if you do not want to multiply my sorrow, and lose the purpose for which you were created. October 11, 1924. The love of God in creating the creature. How each sense was a communication between God and the soul. I felt very oppressed because of the privation of my sweet Jesus. Oh, how many fears aroused within my soul! But the one that tortured me the most was that my Jesus might no longer love me as before. In the meantime, I felt my shoulders being squeezed, and hearing the voice of Jesus at my ear, I heard it say to me, "My daughter, why do you fear I may not love you? Ah, if you knew even just of my love for all creatures in general, you would be surprised. With how much love did I not create the creature? With how many senses did I not endow her? Each sense was a communication that I left between me and her. Her thought was communication between my intelligence and hers, her eye was communication between her light and mine, her speech was a channel of communication between her fiat and mine, her heart, between her love and mine. In sum, everything, her breath, her motion, her step, everything was communication between me and the creature. I did more than a father, who, having to set up a son, prepares for him not only the house, the clothes, the food, and everything that can make his son happy, but gives virtue to the son, and says to him, "We will separate, it is true, but from afar you will feel my life and I, yours. You will feel my thought and I, yours, you, my breathing, my heartbeat, and I, yours. So, we will be far and near, separated and inseparable. You will feel my life, and I, yours." But what the terrestrial father cannot do for his son, because it is impossible for him, I, celestial father, did. As this son of mine came out to the light, after I myself had prepared for him his residence in this world, I placed such bond between me and him, that I was to feel his life in me, and the creature, mine. And this is my love in general and for all. What should I tell you, then, of the special love I had for you? Each suffering I sent you has been one more communication between me and you, and therefore one more adornment with which I embellished your soul. Each truth I manifested to you has been a particle of my qualities with which I adorned your soul with new beauties and filled it with new splendors. Each grace and each time I came to you have been gifts that I poured upon you. I did nothing but multiply my communications almost in every instant, in order to portray in you my various beauties, my likeness, that you might live with me in heaven, and I might live with you on earth. And after all this, you doubt about my love? Rather, I say to you, care about loving me, and I will take care of loving you evermore.